Today we explain the new evolution of Astas Demon Destroyer Sword and its new ability, the early stage of the anti-magic zone. And we will explain why Nacht is maybe even trying to revive his brother Morgen. Black Clover Chapter 288 Review, here in Unami. The chapter begins with the answer to our question from the last chapter, whether Asta actually flew to Nacht at high speed after feeling his KI because Lilith and namaah had destroyed the Shadow Place, or whether it was Gimodello who felt Nacht and could then teleport again. It looks like Asta was actually the one who rushed ahead and Gimodello was the one who noticed Nacht's presence in the human world again. So it literally just took Asta a few seconds to reach Nacht, which is crazy. If anyone still doubts the incredible speed of the characters in Black Clover, now they should have the proof that Black Clover characters are extremely fast. Asta protects Nacht and faces Lilith and namaah. Nacht said that since Asta has finally arrived, they have collected all the cards they need. That is another very interesting choice of words that Nacht used here. You know what I think about Nacht and Julius, and please, don't get me wrong. People assume just because I think that Nacht and Julius are sus and seem to follow their own agenda, that I believe that both are necessarily evil. No, I don't think they are evil. Although I have a feeling that both of them could definitely share a secret and even be willing to sacrifice something for a better cause. Nacht repeats over and over again that he cannot forgive unjust evil, and thus he draws a line between evil without reason and justified evil, which could indicate that he is capable of evil himself, as long as it is for the better cause. And when he said they had collected all the cards needed, it seems for him like it's a strategy game. I wonder what exactly he meant by that. I mean, isn't it enough to just defeat the Dark Triad? Why does he use a word like cards, and why in the plural? As if it were necessary to have a certain number of things or people in the Spade Kingdom for the ritual to end. Who or what are the other cards besides Asta? Who else is necessary so that the tree can be stopped? Or is it not primarily about simply stopping the ritual, but perhaps has another reason that we do not know yet? Maybe it's just the unofficial translation that makes it seem so strange, but Nacht always made me feel weird. Something about Nacht is a mystery that I still can't understand. 2-3 years after Morgen died, he joined the Black Bulls. What has he done during that time? What did he do for 8 years in the Spade Kingdom? On the one hand, he definitely shows signs of having his own plan. On the other hand, he also shows a completely different personality. He seems to be someone who has lost his will to life, but still has hope and is seeking for his brother's dream. But nothing he has done or said so far has changed anything in his personality, so that one can assume that Nacht is actually not pursuing a selfish plan. Even if he wants to do something good, it doesn't seem like he cares much about anyone other than making up for his own guilt. Above all, one must not forget that he came way too late to save Yami and William, and did not even tell a single person that something like this could possibly happen. With his magic, he even had the opportunity to help in time, but he only showed up when everything was too late. And also the fact that he has been watching Asta since Asta was a kid seems like everything was planned in some way, even before Asta had received his grimoire. On the other hand, Nacht sees Morgen's personality in Asta, so how can he do something that Morgen wouldn't support? But maybe Nacht tries to revive his brother Morgen. Reincarnation in Black Clover is not an uncommon thing, as we have seen several times. First, the of the Midnight Sun members, then all the elves, then Lumiere, who was actually never dead, then Patri, whose soul now continues to live in Licht's body, and even Julius, who apparently didn't die either. As we can see, Yuki Tabata loves to make dead characters reappear in his story, so there's a possibility that Nacht may even be able to revive Morgen by possibly performing some kind of ritual. We know Nacht asked God to take him instead of Morgen, and Nacht is ready to die. The idea that Nacht would sacrifice himself for his brother to come back to life is not unlikely. Morgen seems so important to the story that I just can't believe he will stay out of the story and won't come back. We should not forget that Nacht's last name Faust is a reference to the book Faust, in which the main character has a great interest in necromancy, the resuscitation of dead. And Nacht lost someone, and due to the fact that he was always interested in demonology, it's possible that he also has knowledge of necromancy, since these subjects are very close related. In particular, Nacht should have thought of trying to revive his brother Morgen at least once, when he noticed the resurrection of the elves. I keep my position. I can't trust until the war is over and he did nothing suspicious. Let me know in the comments if you think Nacht is suspicious and what he might be planning. That he's not evil is clear, but what could his goal be if he really does justify evil for a good cause? And how is Julius connected to all this? Write me down everything in the comments, I will read every single comment.
We then find out that Asta has already been using the Devil Unite mode Black Guardian together with Liebe for a minute. This means that it took Asta only a few seconds to arrive. Lilith and Namaah then confirmed again that this Clifford was not the first to be ever created, as they say, for hundreds of years. But devils are certainly older than thousands of years, which means that there must have been a war between devils and all the other races before, which most likely was the war that took place immediately before the creation of the Heart Kingdom. In general, it looks like not only the Heart Kingdom was created right after First Devil's War, but possibly other kingdoms as well, such as the Diamond Kingdom. We know that a very long time ago, in the Spade Kingdom, there were two royal youths, close friends, who had phenomenally strong magic, which by the way, will still be important to the story. At some point, however, their affection turned into hatred and they became demon gods, but were sealed. Of course, this story is very flat, but based on the knowledge we have, we can assume that something must have happened that left both royals in deep despair. Also, both of them must either have used this spell themselves to cause this demon god transformations, or were part of something like a ritual. We all know that the Shadow Palace is located in the Clover Kingdom, so the Clifford is also most likely in a certain location. And since the Clifford is currently being created in the Spade Kingdom, one can assume that the roots of the Clifford were always located in the Spade Kingdom. If we assume that this incident with the two royals who became the demon gods has to do something with the first creation of Clifford, which could have happened 1200 years ago in the Spade Kingdom, then these two demon gods could have been the two catalysts of the first Clifford ritual, Vol 3 magic user and dark magic user, just as Yami and William are now used for the ritual. Definitely something that could become important later in the course of this arc. As we predicted, Liebe immediately recognizes Lilith and Namaah, but both devils do not know who Liebe is. The fight begins and Asta can easily keep up with both high-ranking devils. But then something very interesting happened. Asta pulls out his third sword and we can see that the sword has evolved. And not only does it look different, it also has a new ability. Usually the Demon Destroyer's sword removes the effects of spells by allowing the user to absorb the magic into the sword. But this time Asta held the sword and instead of absorbing an effect, it seemed as it has released anti-magic out of the sword and filled the area with it. So then both Lilith and Namaah lost all their magic and the surrounding area was completely cleared of fire and ice. This means that this may have been an early stage in the anti-mana zone. With this effect, not even healing is possible. And so then did Asta cut Namaah in half. I know, we said that Lilith and Namaah might merge, but remember that this fight doesn't necessarily have to end just because Asta temporarily defeated Namaah. We know that Zagreus could not simply be defeated with anti-magic and could even regenerate. So I wouldn't say for sure that it is definitely the end of Namaah. There could be a reason Lilith is still alive. And of course, as long as Asta holds the Demon Destroyer, Namaah will most likely not be able to regenerate. But let's not forget that Asta only had 4 minutes left, and this type of spell is only possible during the Devil Unite mode. The fight has already lasted a few minutes, so that only 1 or 2 minutes are still left, and if Asta does not manage to defeat Lilith in this time, then the effect of the Demon Destroyer will be cancelled, and Namaah would probably regenerate again. Back to the fusion theory. Obviously, this theory is still possible. The fact that Namaah was cut in half makes this theory even more likely. As we said, both would combine their halves. So that namaah was divided exactly in half supports our assumption. We have said from the start that the chapter will start with Asta defeating the devils, but by the end of the chapter or in the next chapter, both Lilith and namaah could use a fusion to compete with Asta and Liebe. Let's wait for the next chapter. However, one thing is certain: if Lilith and namaah are simply defeated, then the next devil will appear very soon, and this one will already be significantly stronger. So the prediction for the next chapter is that we will either see that Lilith and namaah will use a secret power to fight Asta, or that Asta will simply defeat Lilith very easily. We may not even see Asta at all in the next chapter, as Tabara loves jumping to other fights after such a cliffhanger. But it is safe to say that this arc will have a constant increase in dark atmosphere, and most likely it won't have a happy ending either. But more to this tomorrow. We will make a very interesting video about the future progress in Black Clover. Definitely don't miss this video. We will be publishing the video early morning tomorrow. So subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you don't have to miss the video. And let us know in the comments what you think about the new chapter and your thoughts about our review. Don't forget to keep supporting our Black Clover episode 171 video. This is very important for the entire Black Clover fandom. So guys, thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video. Yummy out.